Hello, my name is Kyle Daniel. I'm the nursery landscape specialist in the Department of Horticulture and Landscape Architecture. First of all, I want to say thank you for attending our field day today. I know that it's a lot different than we're used to in the past. You're still going to get a lot out of it. You're still going to see our research plots. You're still going to have the one-on-one interaction whenever we have the live event, whenever this concludes in about a week. So I think you're going to get a lot out of it, and if you have any questions, you can always contact us. So today we're here at Dole's Tree Farm where we have an on-farm trial where we're looking at the effects of the split application versus a full application of pre-emergence herbicides, and also we're looking at what happens if you don't get the product down early and you get the product down later in the spring or early summer. Will that still be effective? So a little bit of basics. If you guys heard me talk, you'll have heard this before. It's really important to have a strong pre-emergence herbicide program whenever you're dealing with the landscape. There are a couple of reasons for this. Number one, the phytotoxicity or the amount of plant damage to your landscape plants is going to be much less with a pre-emergent as opposed to a post-emergence herbicide. Number two, you're actually going to save some money. If you figure in labor costs to go out and spray something like glyphosate every 3 weeks or so, if you can extend that season of control, you're actually going to reduce the amount of times you're going to be at that property. And then also with pre-emergence herbicides, especially whenever you're talking about mulching a property, the mulch plus the pre-emergence herbicide really work in tandem really well to prevent weeds for a longer period of time. And so one of the common questions that I get is, okay, I installed a landscape, early summer, or I missed the pre-emergence window. So what happens? Should I put down a pre-emergence? Should I, forget about it into the fall? Well, that's one of the things that this trial that we're going to talk about today is going to be addressing, is a late application. So when should you apply pre-emergence herbicides? Well, if you think about weed life cycles, we have some weeds, summer annuals, that germinate in the spring, kind of early spring to late spring, early summer. Then we have winter annuals, and they're going to actually germinate in the fall before it gets really cold. And so whenever you time that pre-emergence application, you're going to have to think about what weeds are present in your landscape. So if you have a lot of summer annuals, you'll need to do a spring app. If you have a lot of winter annuals, you'll need to do a fall app. What I recommend whenever you're building your weed control program is actually a spring plus a fall pre-emergence program. So this will take care of all the summer annuals, all of your winter annuals, also some biennials, and then perennials that seed into the property. So one of the things that we're going to look at with this trial is, of course, I mentioned the lateness. So if you don't get your product down in time, will it still be worth putting it down, or should you wait till the fall? But also we're going to look at a split application. So what is a split application? Well, a split application is whenever you put a product down, you wait 3 or 4 weeks, put the rest of the product down. So as an example, if you put down a full rate, say it calls for 4 pounds per acre, you put down the 4 pounds per acre. On the other hand, if you put down a split application, you'll put down 2 pounds per acre, you'll wait 3 or 4 weeks, put down the other 2 pounds. So what is that going to do? That's going to really extend the amount of control that you'll get with the pre-emergence herbicide. And so this trial's looking at specifically that. So will a half rate be equivalent to a full rate? Will I get that extended control? And so let's take a look at some of the results from the trial. So within this trial that we're going to be looking at today, we're using 4 different herbicides. We're using Freehand, Spectacle G, Green, and Crew. We're going to look at these products and see how they compare to the control whenever we put down a full application and also whenever we put down a split application. So let's take a look up close at some of the treatments and how well these herbicides perform. So just an example, here we have the pre-emergence Crew. This is at the full rate, And then we'll compare that to the half rate, which is right there. And you can see that we have basically equal control between the full rate and the split application. So what that tells us is the application really works to increase the efficacy of the product. So as I mentioned, we have 5 treatments in this study. We have a control, which we didn't put any herbicide down. We have freehand, which is mid P and pendimethalin. That's a product that's been around a long time, good product. We also have preen, which is trifluralin. We have Spectacle G. It's a newer product. It's labeled for the landscape. The chemical name is indaziflam. And then a really new product. This is the first time I've actually used this product. It's called Crew. It's isoxapen and dithiopyr. So I was really excited to get to try this product to see how it worked. So we'll run through quite a few pictures here just to give you an idea of what everything looked like in the field. So this is control. These 3 pictures, they had no herbicides applied to them whatsoever. This was 3 weeks after the herbicide treatment. We went through quite a dry period at that time, so we didn't have much germination. If you compare that to 32 days after treatment, so I went out July the 7th, week before you guys are listening to this, and we had lots of weeds, as you can see here on these 3 plots. These are all 3 control plots. So the first product we'll look at is freehand. I'm only going to show the 3 weeks after treatment pictures for freehand because they basically all look the same as the control. But you can see here we had very little weed pressure at 3 weeks after treatment. Compare that to 32 days after treatment on July the 7th. This is the full rate. So you can see here the picture on the right. We had a couple of weeds pop up. The picture in the middle, basically no weeds came up. And then the one on the left, we basically had 1 weed come up that you can see there. It's just a large weed. So the full rate did a really good job up to 30 days after the treatment. So here's the split 3 weeks after treatment. Again, looks just the same as the control. Compare that to 32 days after treatment, and this is the split application. You can see here, picture on the left, no weeds. Picture in the middle, 1 or 2. Picture on the right, same 1 or 2. So if you look at the full application and the split application of the freehand, there's really no difference. So we'll talk about what that means after we get finished looking at the rest of the herbicides. So here's the freehand full, July the 7th again. So here's the preen split app. Again, picture on the right, very clean, very few weeds. There's a few down here at the bottom, and then just 1 or 2 there on the left. So if you compare the full app versus the split app on the preen, same thing that we saw with the freehand, equal control. Here's the Spectacle G, full rate. If you ignore those nutsedge that are there, very good job. Here's the split app. This one didn't perform quite as well as the full app, but if you take a look, quite a bit of nutsedge in there. There's some lady's thumb in there, some lamb's quarters, but generally speaking, it did a pretty good job. Now let's compare that to the Crew. Again, all these were 32 days after treatment. This is the full rate, basically no weeds at all. Had 1 there on the right, and then crabgrass there in the middle, but none on the left. So this product did a really good job. Compare that to the split app. Again, very clean plots. The split app versus the full app, we saw that through all the herbicides. So what is this telling us? It's telling us a couple of things. Number 1, if you're late on getting a product out, say you install a landscape, you put down mulch in early June, should you put down a pre-emergence herbicide? Question I get a lot. Well, according to this study, absolutely, you're going to get some control. The other thing that we learned from this study
is a split application is going to be just as effective early as a full application. But when you come back with that second split, you're really going to increase the longevity and the efficacy of that product. So a split application is definitely the way to go.
Thank you for joining us for our virtual field day. Again, I hope that next year we'll be able to see you in person. If you ever need any help with developing a pre-emergence program for your landscape, or if you just have any general questions about your landscape, feel free to contact me and we can set up a time to chat. So thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon.